Hi, this is Mike Cuddy, and I'm here to talk to you about my latest project on hate crimes. And I have to say that it's not actually my latest project. I finished this project before my Twitter analysis project, but this is the first time I've actually gotten around to actually making a video of it, and it's something I have been meaning to do for a long time. So I guess I'll go through the project and briefly talk about some of the code. This project was actually a large project. It has many different parts to it, and it's probably one of the largest data science, well, it is the largest data science project I've done so far with Python. So let's start. And so this is the kind of like a landing page, and it just has a grid here of all different kind of pictures that I got from Unsplash, kind of showing just different aspects. I try to get ones I would feel along the line of tension or hate crimes or just anything to do with hate crimes in general. And of course, it is a slightly responsive. I could have done better with it though. So that's it. I had a little grid gap there. I think I wanted everything to be close together. I'm not sure why I left a grid gap there. So anyways, let's go in and check it out. Login page. When I was making this project, I was actually doing one of Colt Steele's courses on Udemy on advanced web development. The courses I was covering at the time were on CSS animation, so I added some of that in here as I was working on that course just to do stuff. Like if you see the button, it moves, and as soon as I submit it, it goes all the way in. So it takes you here to this home page, and it talks all about what the project will have. And it basically, like I said, has three main sections with data, graphs, and maps. So you get to see the data in a graphical form and then see some of the data in a map form. And we also see the data. And this is probably the most boring part. And this was just kind of like a test to understand some data science aspects using Pandas. And it's not that impressive. And I'll go right there. So I had so many parts at first that I had to actually have this drop-down menu to go to different areas. And before I go show the data, I'll just show that you can have the user log out as always. You can edit the user. The user can only, on their profile, they just can change their name. I should have made it to change their password as well, but they can change their username, and it shows the current username as Gus. So let's go back and let's go into the data section. Now all this is the mean values, and as I go over, it'll just change the color. There's again another CSS animation from that course I mentioned. But I will stop here and say that a lot of the data I got from this from the 538 blog. It's a repo up there, so if you want, here's a link to it right there in my README file. So, and it has all this data. If I actually should have actually had this ready to go, I'll show you what the data looks like as that comes up. And it has, see, it has all these columns and by state, and we're looking at shared unemployed and everything. So that's what the data is, and it goes in. It has all this area. So I was looked at essentially 9 areas and the standard deviation of all the values. Again, this is just something I was never taking a standard deviation before of anything in Pandas, so I decided to do it on this project. Graphs, and now here's the first graph, and it's Trump voters' first median household income. So everything that's in a red is a state that went for Trump, and a state that's for that went to Clinton is a state in blue. So you can just hold it over, and it'll tell you. And I'm using my God, my mind just went blank. Bokeh for this. So it's something at first I didn't really like using Bokeh to make the graphs, but I actually enjoyed using it a lot on this project. I mean, you can really move stuff around on the graphs and make them more interactive. So, and then if I can change the graph, if I look at white poverty versus hate crimes, you can see that as well. So it'll change to almost anything. Histograms is the same thing. I just used matplotlib for this graph. It's not interactive like the Bokeh one above. That's the bad part about using matplotlib as far as I know. So just showing the standard distribution like the histogram. And then total hate crimes by year, if we look at that. Then if we look at Jews, and this is where it gets interesting with Muslims, that's dramatically shot up. Even though if you actually look at the numbers, it's not as high as some of the others, but it's still, I think, pretty alarming to see this right here. That's not good. If you can see, it starts to really peak, go up in middle of 2014 into 2015. So whether or not that's tied to Trump is up for debate, but I mean, it's pretty powerful. So now we look at some of the maps. Load that. So this is hate crimes by the FBI data, and it'll tell you if you hover. This is using D3 JavaScript, and which I found interesting is here in the South there seems to be less hate crimes. I mean, and obviously, what a state like here, North Dakota, could have less population, so the hate crimes may be higher, but it's also more homogeneous. So anyone that's an outsider there could be attacked more often. So that's kind of alarming, this area of the country up here. And even, I mean, Pennsylvania is not that high, but Ohio, which went for Trump, which Hillary Clinton thought possibly could have been a state that would have gone for her. So again, like the other graphs, I can uh, change and see it. I mean, white poverty. So yeah, that's, and then finally I have this conclusion page. And I want to say that I'm not an expert in data science at all. Like this is a project where I'm learning. I really like doing data science projects, and it's something how I'm learning to get better, especially the coding side and more about the statistical side. And that's kind of why I use. I was looking at standard deviations and trying to get a better grasp of that. But as I say, the key is right there. So I've done quite a few of these projects, and I'm getting better, especially making what I want through coding. The hard part now is understanding everything, what the data is telling me, and so that's more the data science project. So that's this project. Now, if we just kind of look at the code real quickly, it's my normal like using Flask and the layout, everything. I've got to really start to learn how to break this up and use more of like an MVC thing. To have everything in this one file is getting insane for my project. And I actually I used a lot of the data from that 538 GitHub repo, but I also scraped data. That's why I said this project was so enormous. I not only used a CSV, but I also made like the hate crime CSV from 538, but I made my own with the data which I scraped from the website, FBI websites, and that's what I used right here. So that's all the code for that in my scrape.py file, which was found under scraping. So that's like what I said, that this pile had two data sources coming from two different locations, and that was, and I just decided to add that on almost towards the finish of it. So it's a project, like I said, it has a lot of parts to it. And this is a code for the Bokeh of how it generates everything. So it's all in this class right here to make my graphs. So, and as usual, I keep some of my old code down here just for reference. That was kind of as I was adjusting and changing everything like that. So yeah, that's my project, and I think it's a fairly good project. If I log out, it just takes you back to the home page. And I really enjoyed making it, and I hope you like watching this video. Other than that, have a great day.